Harry's Wife, Part 100.29.1. Did she silence Allison P. Davis? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Allison P. Davis is a writer. She began some years ago as an associate producer through the CNN Master's Fellowship, following where she had studied journalism at the University of California, and she obtained prior to that a bachelor's degree in English. So she's well versed in English and, of course, has learned her craft in an academic setting. Thereafter, she held down various jobs: production assistant, a contributing editor, reporting fellow, managing director. She was assistant features editor at Elle magazine and an associate editor at New York magazine. And then has been also, alongside that, a freelance writer for the last 18 years, having contributed to SF Weekly, Fodors.com, Fast Company, Paper, Wired, Wired.com, Teen Vogue, NWayTimes.com, and other publications. She's a features writer, or at least was, at The Cut at New York magazine. But it would appear that something rather sinister may be afoot. A tweet from Miss Davis reads, "In other news, for the first time in ... I'm going on extended vacation. Out of pocket, living in the moment. Pray for my TL/inbox/DMs, etc." This has been interpreted as the fact that she's been dismissed from her position as a features writer. It doesn't appear whether she's actually confirmed that's the case, merely hinting at what has taken place. Could it be that this is what has happened? And if so, why has it happened? You will know from Parts Passim, of course, that the recent interview in The Cut garnered worldwide headlines. And whilst some read it and thought, is this some sickly sweet, nose up the bottom piece, 6,400 words of arse-lickery in relation to Harry's wife, it became clear that it was actually some rather subtle piss-taking, and that Allison Davis allowed Harry's wife to spout her usual word salad and then faithfully recorded it, resulting in, of course, the various revelations that has resulted in many people shaking their heads at the whole preposterous behaviour of Harry's wife, and, of course, the repeating of certain whoppers that came out of that interview. This has heightened, or rather has accelerated, the downward spiral about which I have spoken. The repercussions from this interview have not been good for Harry's wife. It's caused many people to think, what on earth am I reading here? She is deluded. What nonsensical lies she's coming out with. The whole people of South Africa celebrated in the same way that they did when Nelson Mandela was freed. Such a boast, albeit one that she believes. And of course, she said all of this to a journalist that she regarded as being sympathetic to her situation. Indeed, we had the ridiculous scenario of her actually dictating to the journalist not what to write in terms of what she was saying, but telling her to write about how she sounded, with the whole guttural nonsense that she sat there going, and then dictated to the journalist, a professional journalist, not only what you should write, but you should write it as interpreting the sounds that I've made. Absolutely off the charts, batshit crazy behaviour, but entirely commensurate with the word salady, deluded assertion of control that Harry's wife engages in. The content of this interview was picked up by other news outlets and across social media, your glorious narrator included, explaining it through the lens of narcissism for you, and for many, it perhaps became the moment that they thought, actually, I'm no longer backing this woman. people started to shy away, and those others that have always criticised her behaviours became galvanised by what they read. Here, from the mouth of the person herself, was vindication as to what people had been saying all along. And then that gathered more momentum. Of course, Harry's wife, blinded by her own delusions and low cognitive function, won't have realised that the article was being written subtly taking the piss out of her. Again, all that it did was report what she had said, but did it in a way which posed certain little questions here and there, which to the astute reader realised, aha, she's allowing her to speak and letting her have the Michael taken out of her. Harry's wife will not have picked up on this, but thereafter someone has notified her, this interview has caused you no manner of problems. She was thinking, of course, it was a platform. This is going to bring more attention to me in relation to my groundbreaking Spotify series. And then I'm going to go to the United Kingdom. Nobody's going to be allowed to boo me. They're all going to praise me as I build up more footage for Netflix. I'm in the ascendancy once again. Go me. Instead, the interview in The Cut was roundly ridiculed. From the pictures that appeared in it, the suggestion that an N was missing in the title, and of course the very content that came spewing from Harry's wife's mouth was picked up and reprinted again and again, discussed, commented upon, and circulated. And it's caused threat after threat after threat by way of challenge fuel. Of course, Harry's wife would have indirectly asserted control at the moment by saying, oh, this is just being spewed by haters. They don't know what they're talking about. But as time has gone on, and her advisors have said, actually, this is causing you damage, Harry's wife will, of course, have stamped her cloven feet and demanded that action be taken. And it is entirely conceivable, with a narcissist exhibiting no emotional empathy for somebody just doing their job, somebody who was, of course, just utilising the words that came out of her own mouth, so she's showing no accountability for her own behaviours, acting with a sense of entitlement, demonstrating that need for the assertion of control for her to then insist that Allison P. Davis lose her position as a features writer. As stated, she hasn't said this explicitly, but the influence is clear enough, and that's certainly the way that individuals on Twitter are regarding this. One individual, MJQ243, stated, your article was a journalistic masterpiece. Don't lose your sense of humour or your objectivity. You saw it, and you reported it. Hope Stanton, are you going silent or have you been silenced? I think you wrote a wonderful piece. All the best. Mrs. Sam Vimes, so, you've been silenced by a diva. The article was hilarious, but this is wrong. Illyria, I hope you haven't been markled. Your article was sly and witty, and have exposed her better than everyone. Did she ask you if you're okay, by the way? Again, Christine Freber, are you being silent or have you been silenced? Make a guttural sound so we know. Phoebe Dinsmore, uh-oh, has Megsy been on the phone to your boss? I hope you keep your job. TSNY, the article was mocking her, so yeah, job done. Amazed One, I'm sorry for you, Allison. You were snarky with the wrong woman. You wounded a narcissist and there is no coming back from that. Not when Ken Sunshine is on your case, but well done. Most of us adored your satirical piece. You have friends on your side. Curiously Lost. Having read the article, I was trying to figure whether you were deathly satirical or sickly sweet about her. Having read it for the second time, I cautiously settled on the former. Your post has just confirmed I was right. Don't despair. You know what they say about closing doors. Larich May West. The best way to enjoy the moment, mute the noise. Sure, the trolls will storm your posts, they'll want your attention and engagement, but my good sis, there's not a goddamn thing anybody needs to say that you need to hear. Your job is done. Well done, ma'am. Princess Lulu Boy, now, dear, you should publish the deleted parts from the interview. Amy Ann, I think the story you wanted to tell rather than Harry's wife came through. Good on you for that. Pretty masterful, really. RUA, your sly take on Harry's wife, I'm a victim, was very effective. Thumbs up. Lizzie2244, LOL, you've been markled. poppy archetypes, so the N missing from the cut proves us right about the rag. Flora, wishing you could speak to @ValentineLow or Tom Bauer about your experience. Catherine Proctor, oh please speak to Tom Bauer. And on it goes. It appears that most people form the view that she has been dismissed as a consequence of what she wrote about Harry's wife. Not only, of course, is this yet another attack upon freedom of speech, something, of course, that Harry's wife believes that she has, but nobody else does. The fact is that once again, in order to nullify the threat to control posed by somebody writing an article which she believed was favourable to her, but when she's eventually realised, i.e. had it pointed out to her, along with all of the noise that it's created, it actually made her look stupid, rather than think, well, that's the risk you run when you court journalists, instead, that has amounted to a huge threat to her control. And her narcissism has demanded that she nullify that threat to control and in effect punish Allison Davies, and has therefore directed her through her publicists, through her PR agencies, to demand that something be done. And it would appear that the outcome is the dismissal of this individual. Whether, of course, she has an illegal redress is a matter no doubt she's contemplating, or that she's decided the better thing to do is to allow the turmoil to wash over her and focus on other matters. I very much believe that Allison Davies will have other opportunities from those that can see her clear talent at writing and those who are disgusted, if this is the case, at her treatment by the extended reach of Harry's wife. It is entirely commensurate with the behaviour of a narcissist to have somebody write in such terms which causes you a problem even though you didn't realise at first, and then having the hissy fit thereafter as a consequence of that threat to control, the ignition of her fury, the sense of entitlement, the demanding that something must be done, and resulting in action which has no emotional empathy for Allison Davies, results in her losing her position. No doubt there'll be more that follows on Twitter, and so far it doesn't appear that she's responded to the messages of goodwill that she's received. Perhaps it might be the case that she has been gagged in some way as part of a payoff. Who knows? It's often the case. But what this does demonstrate is the impact that article has had upon Harry's wife, and that it has repeatedly and in a sustained fashion challenged her, and that her narcissism, in order to try and nullify that threat, has caused her to lash out at the author of the piece, not directly, not contacting Allison Davies and saying, hey, what do you think you're playing at? I thought we got on really well, and you seem to have written a hatchet piece about me. What the fuck? Oh no, Harry's wife's narcissism is too cowardly for her to do that. Instead, as she's often done, she seeks to control the narrative, to stifle free speech. More ought to be raised about this attack upon a journalist who has only done what she was commissioned to do, and all she ever did was use Harry's wife's own words. She didn't make anything up. But the fact is, Harry's wife has had her control threatened repeatedly, and this is the response. Once again, it merely goes to underline her behaviours, and of course, Harry's wife's mid-range narcissism results in this. She secures the removal of Allison Davies from her position. What then happens? There's a blow-up on Twitter. I'm making a video about it. Other people will no doubt be commenting about it. And instead of it solving the problem, it's like cutting a head off a hydra, and then 7 more grow up in its place. All Harry's wife is doing is speeding her own downward spiral. Make sure you share this video. Share it far and wide. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.